This has to stop, and it will not stop unless we carry the message up. I've been asked to say about my personal experiences with the thieving bastards at ANZ. This is bigger than me, and it's bigger than the thieving bastards at ANZ. What this is a deliberate grab for cash, a deliberate undermining of Australia's financial system. We have gone from a well-structured country with a government-owned Commonwealth Bank, with a government-owned development bank. And if you can remember the salad days of Australia's history, we built it on the back of a bank that we owned. Now, we didn't even sell the bloody thing. It got stolen off us. And on the day that it got stolen, all governance of matters financial in this country was given to gangsters. They've got a good gig. In the working class suburb I grew up in, if you wanted to get ahead, you bought a balaclava and you cut the end off of a perfectly good shotgun and went and robbed a bank. Now, you go to school, get a business degree and get a job in one. This is ridiculous, and it can't continue. But because of the brief period of time I have, let's have a look at ANZ and the new Big Four. At or about the time of the financial crash, with impeccable timing, Landmark's financial book was taken over for a very paltry sum of money. $6 billion in valuable rural loans, $6 billion of grain farms, of cattle stations, $6 billion worth of this country's food basket was handed on a platter to gangsters. And why? Because another branch of the Big Four had acted. The Australian government did something that it had never done since Federation. It fined an institution for applying bribery to sell wheat to Iraq. They called it the Wheat for Arms saga. Now, in this topsy-turvy world we live in, we better bloody hope that the guns that those nasty Iraqis bought with the bribery money that the Australian wheat farmers had to give them to sell some grain. I think we had a Minister for Trade at the time. Why wasn't he over there? I don't know. He's in the other branch of the Big Four. He should have sold the grain, but he didn't. So AWB did what every other company has ever had to do since we crawled out of the swamp, and that was bribe some bloke in a turban so you could sell your product. It's called baksheesh. It's traditional. And yet in this situation, at the start of the biggest bank robbery in Australia's history, our government, these blokes that sit up here behind me, in a building that your taxes paid for, they imposed a fine. Did you think they were fining AWB? Bullshit! They were fining every farmer in Australia. They knew this was a crime of meditation, premeditation. They knew the effect that would be coming towards the farmers of Australia once this fine was imposed, because they used it as a rock to crawl out from under and buy our loans. Then, I asked Mr. Swan just moments ago, in an illegal act of collusion, every bank in Australia, within 7 days of each other, made our loan-to-value requirement go from 75% down to an impossibly achievable 50%. They bought valuers in that you paid for, like that fine. You paid for it. You paid for it. The valuers came into your properties and they said that what was worth $10 million yesterday was worth $5 million today. Then, to rub a bit of salt into the wounds, after you've paid for the valuer to tell you that all the work that you had done was not worth the value that you thought it was, they then cut off our overdrafts. They cut your overdrafts off. The first impact of that's felt usually at the dinner table. because you can't buy tucker for your family. Another unconscionable act, another act of collusion. Now, we don't need a bloody Royal Commission. When people break the law, aren't you supposed to call the police? They put them in handcuffs. I've been put in fucking handcuffs. Pardon the language. I didn't need to be, but I was. These people act in synchronicity. And I would like to say that this is a hodgepodge of bad people that have got to the top of a few high places. But when you line up the pillars of the Big Four, and we have systemic greed and corruption in our banking sector, in our legal sector, in our courtrooms, in our government, we've got to do something about it. Now, if a bank can come to your property assisted by armed police, as happened to Rodney Kellerton, there you go, he's a bloody senator. He weren't exempt. He got the same treatment. He's seen this firsthand. He acted upon it. 12 months ago, I met that bloke in Sydney. Him and a bloke I'll be forever grateful to, Craig Hutton, out of their own pockets, we whacked enough cash together to get from my little lumpy, the little lumpy that ANZ left me to live in. They let us go to Sydney to attend the carefully structured Senate inquiry into malpractice of the rural lending industry. That was shown to be so important that it was chaired by Philip Ruddock, who was en route to a cushy job at the United Nations and had 10 minutes to spare on the day. That's how important you are. You're not worthy of a Royal Commission. You're not worthy of having the laws of this nation applied to your grievances. I spoke to elderly gentlemen. Me, I've always been a dodgy type. Getting locked up sometimes comes with my turf. Some of these people have lived respectable, flawless lives and have been treated as criminals. If that happened to any Joe from the families of any of these people behind me, there would be lawsuits carried on to this day with the best lawyers in the land extracting justice out of our legal system. A common tale amongst the aggrieved farmers, the aggrieved business people, the aggrieved builders, the old girls with their carefully put together superannuation package, because you know your government won't look after you when you're old. You got to do it yourself. They've taken your pensions, they've taken everything, so we better snip those rascally investment properties. They're not paying much tax on them. When these crimes have gone unpunished for so long, our problem is not one of isolated cases. It is septic. It is endemic corruption of the highest possible order. Our lawyers don't wish to represent us because the bank pays more money. The bank pays more money. Well, why? Why haven't those lawyers had their licences to practice revoked? Why aren't they in the same semi-trailer full of vermin that has to be carted out of these institutions? Now me, I'm going forward on a simple premise. My story got very rough. I better give you something exciting. I quickly put together the scam, what was going on here. To be honest with you, as an aggressive businessman, I'm thinking to myself, my crikey, these blokes are going to get an earn here. They bought all these farms for nothing. Now they have a gaping market for these properties. Some of my brothers from next door will attest to that. The People's Republic of China can print as much money as it needs. They do what we should do. They print money so that their people can expand and prosper. We don't print any. We take it off the poor buggers that have got it and then sell our assets to people who are showing good business sense and coming in and buying our assets for half of their value. So our banks were never going to lose, but we lose. And when we get smart enough to disclose it, then we suffer. In my case, I got harassed by police to the point of physical and mental distraction. And I had to go through the box of dirty tricks that had been placed at my feet by very, very evil people. And on the day it got too tough, I thought, where will these blokes go next? I'd been loaded up with us. Right? Where do I go? Where do I go? I thought, what will be the next load up? See, I'd my guts kicked in Brisbane by half a dozen thugs that were dressed up like coppers. I then went to some genuine coppers and got told not to worry about that. I had several attempts taken at my life, and I know why. A bloke once told me to come to shoot me. He said, Fallon, he liked me. He said, you're a good knockabout bloke. He couldn't do it. I won him over. He said, it's not what you owe, it's what you know. Now you all know it. So are they going to shoot you too? No. We've got to drag this out into the open, kicking and screaming. We have to follow an example that is being set all over the world. There is a new movement. There is a movement of people wanting to take back their rights. They want to operate in a fair field of battle. They want to be able to go forward knowing that your bank is there to help you, not just sell it to his sister-in-law. We want our banks to be governed by our government under a firm, fair and strict regime of regulations. I don't want to hear one more broadcast about a $3 billion quarterly profit for one of these institutions. Why? Because when we opened the government till at the time of the financial crash, they got given an open cheque. That would be like giving your wife to me, to be honest. That's it. It was always going to end nasty. They have gone on from that day to announce profits, which I am sure some of those profits are a slow, Ponzi-like distribution of your own bloody money. I'll go one further in my personal case. Busy man, right? Busy man. I'm conquering Queensland. You don't read all the fine print. You got a man for that. You've got your accountant. Well, he was bent. You got your lawyer. Bit more bent, sorry about that, right? I took the time one day when things were real tough, after having been run around the country a couple of times by people that are supposed to be serving and protecting me. I found out that the ANZ Bank had actually cross-collateralised my loans. They had my loans for my assets linked to two people that I hadn't met. I was so flabbergasted, I went to 2 more branches. Now you've got to understand, had a few nasty types looking for me, wasn't real easy to do. And 3 times I confirmed, and I have documents to prove it, because they thought I'd be yet another one who slipped down the chute that couldn't come back. They had already reassigned my loans, and I created a horrendous problem for myself by actually making enough money to pay my loans off. And that was the day that my life was immediately worth nothing, because that could have exposed this scam. And when I realised that there is no way out, I thought, well, bugger it, I'll go out in a blaze of glory. And I tipped 15 litres of petrol over myself, and I walked into a fire. Now, all things considered, I spent 7 months in a coma. Now, that coma was actually quite good for me. You steady up, you examine matters. You're not actually asleep, you know. And you can see this whole horrendous scenario laid out crystal clear. See, these people resort to thievery because they're not intelligent enough to make it honestly. And when you're dealing with dickheads, it's not too hard once you get on the rhythm to sort them out. Have these banks got assistants inside the 2 houses? My bloody oath they have. And plenty. And plenty. And very soon, if they don't stand up and say, we're going to bring these banks down, they won't be there because we will vote them out. They won't be seen again. Have they got assistants in the judiciary? Well, let me tell you something, people. Being in the judiciary, in ancient civilisations, experienced people in farms, in warfare, in building, became the judges of your community. To become a judge in this community, go to the right school, attend the right lodge, follow the strict line of who can be punished and who can't, and you'll be happily judging your guts out for the rest of your life. That's wrong. That has to change. Now, this is not supposed to be political. I'm going to say the next thing I say because I promised I would. Rodney Culleton faces for the first time in the history of Australia, to my memory, that he's been voted in by the people of Western Australia because he wanted to take on the banks. He wanted to give it to them. Go, Rodney, give it to them. Drive the hooks in. Buck them out. Ride them till they drop. So, for the sake of a $10 set of keys, we got billions of dollars being stolen off us. We're going to stop the government of Australia for a $10 set of keys. Now, where's all these patriots on their motorbikes? Where's all these people from the left who plead for equal civil rights for everybody? The basic civil right is to elect a person to carry out your wishes. And the fact that he has been picked as the sacrificial lamb tells me he's getting too close to the flames. So I'm going to tell you, if he gets arsehole from the Senate, I'm still calling him Senator Culleton. Yep. I'll still call him Senator Culleton. What do they say in America? Not my president. Well, if they put some other dodgy in there, I'm going to say, not my senator. I want my senator to call for an uninhibited, unlimited Royal Commission. I don't want my senator standing in a queue for anyone, for no bastard. I want my senator to go and do the job that the people of Australia elected him to do. And I tell you something else I don't want. I don't want people running around and saying, oh, well, look, it's a bit like today. I would love to talk about personal amounts of money. I'll let you in a little secret. I've told ANZ to cut me a cheque, and pretty directly, for about $20 million. Because I'm not going to use mine to give to some dodgy charity. I'm not going to buy drugs and hookers either. I'm going to use it to bring these bastards to their knees. I'm going to shoot them with their own gun. I have a cut and dried case that if I could find, anyone see an honest lawyer? Find me one. Find me one, and we can bring this whole tower toppling to the ground. But we're not going to do it, because today you'll go away. But when you go away, I want you to go and tell the bloke next door that you got some bad news for him. Most of us come out of farms and businesses and maybe investment portfolios. The sacred cow of Australia has been, and always should be, your family home. Now, because of a price bubble manipulation by the Big Four, they are shortly going to drive a pin, clean up the guts of that house pricing bubble. Clean up the guts of it. And it's going to deflate. Now, normally, that would mean that the whole market would pull its ears back, you sew your pockets up, you cut your credit cards up, and you don't do any more house buying. But unfortunately, our brothers from the Dulang Fang over there, they got plenty of money, and they will buy those houses. And that's not a racist statement, that's smart business. That's smart business. And we're going to have that laid out for every homeowner in Australia, that because your asset is worth less than it was yesterday, we're sorry, we're calling your loan. The only difference is, this time, they have a get-out. They have an unlimited market. The new Asian prosperity sphere is alive and kicking. Not on my watch. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. I will steal their cattle. I will evict them from their homes. I will drag these bank managers out by the balls, because I have had enough. Thank you.
Well, when the situation is as bad as it is, I didn't realise.